So, reality versus rights. It's been in the news quite a bit recently, and it's come up on social media of people having the right to be able to walk home alone at night without getting attacked. Yeah, you do. You do have the right to not be attacked. You have the right to go about your daily life without the fear of someone committing something against you. Unfortunately, that doesn't really relate to the society we live in. So, you have the right to walk around as late as you like by yourself in the very worst areas of town. You have the right to leave all your windows open, leave your front door open, and go about your daily life. You have the right to leave your car, all the doors open with the keys in the ignition. You have the right to do all of these things, but with the society we live in, it's not a very smart idea to do these things. So there's a very grey area, there's a very thin line between using common sense and reiterating common sense based off statistics, knowledge, and facts and figures that we have, and crossing over into victim blaming. So obviously, you never want to victim blame, but having said that, we also need to look at certain things. If you know an area of town is particularly bad after a certain time of night, such as in some areas there are places where taxis won't go after dark type of thing, then it's foolhardy for you to walk by yourself in that area at those times. So, although we all have the right to not be attacked, we know from the news that attacks happen and crime happens every day. So, just by saying, well, I've got the right not to be attacked, it doesn't actually make any difference. The reason being is that your rights are usually agreed upon by law-abiding citizens, by the good guys, so to speak. The bad guys who live outside the law, who commit the crime, don't give a shit about your personal right and your personal well-being. That's why they commit crimes. A fallacy that I've seen recently is, rather than teaching women self-defense and teaching women the information they need to keep safe, just teach men not to attack. This is based off a wrong thing, because it's based off the idea that the men who are doing the attacks don't know that committing the attacks is wrong. They do know what they're doing is wrong. That's why they do it away from witnesses. This is why they do it in secret. This is why they do it and then hide bodies. So the idea of don't teach women to defend themselves, teach men to behave better, does not work. That's very similar to saying we could cut a lot out of our spending on our budget if we just got rid of prisons. Rather than locking people up for committing the crime, just make more of an effort from an early age to teach them don't commit crime. We know that would never work. It works in a perfect world, in a dream world that doesn't exist in reality. So we all have the right to go about our daily lives as law-abiding citizens and do what we do in a peaceful way. Unfortunately, there's always going to be that criminal element that means we cannot do that. So rather than having our heads in the sand or our heads in the clouds to say, I've got a right not to be attacked, I would rather spend my time learning how to defend myself, learning how to spot the signals, learning how to see things. A lot of the information we do on this site is given away for free, because it's better that you know and you take advantage of these clips and learn the signals that we say. And it's not just stuff that we've come up with ourselves in our blood, it's based off facts, figures, Office of National Statistics, off what police reports say, off what crime reports say, off what the educare courses are teaching us. So it's nice, and I get it, that it would be a perfect world, and we all want to believe that it's never going to happen to us. And I am very careful about where I go. Good, but you need the other elements in, because you can be careful about where you go. But I know for a fact, from having worked security on race days in Chester, everyone's really nice and polite, but the criminal element will come in because they know it's going to be easy pickings, because people with money are going to be drunk after a certain point in the day. So although you have the right not to be pickpocketed, you know this event is going to draw the criminal element because it's going to be easy pickings. So maybe don't get so hammered that by midday you don't know where you are. Is it victim blaming, or is it telling people to use some common sense so that you don't get your money stolen? It's up to the individual to decide. All I'll say in closing is, yes, you do have the right not to be attacked. Unfortunately, the reality we live in doesn't support that. The reality we live in supports that the criminal element will attack, they do attack, they will continue to attack if we make it easy for them. So I'll release another clip a little bit later on and go over some details of this and what we can do to avoid it. But for right now, the idea that you're going to walk through life saying, well, I've got the right not to be attacked, so it's not going to happen to me, is wrong. Chances are slim that you will be attacked, but we can get those chances as low as humanly possible by just taking a couple of precautions, such as don't walk home alone at night. Yes, you've got the right to, but the criminal element don't care about your right. They don't care about your right not to be harmed. So if you do have to go home, walk in a group. If the group's not available, get a taxi. If a taxi isn't available, wait for a taxi to become available. Simple as that. There's usually, depending on how big the area you live in, there will usually be more than one taxi service. If the first one says it's going to be half an hour, phone the second one. The second one says it, phone the third one. At the point of the third one, any friends you have who might still be awake at that hour, phone them up and say, look, I'm really sorry to bother you, but I'm stuck here. I'm going to have to walk home alone. Don't really fancy it. There's been a lot of crime in the area. Can you come pick us up? You might not feel very comfortable doing that, but it's worth it in the long run. Your friends would rather be put out for a 20-minute drive than have to make you a Facebook status the following week. Okay, so be aware, be careful. Anything that you would scream at the TV watching a horror film, the old thing is always the girl always runs upstairs rather than shooting out the front door. That type of thing. So anything that would get you screaming at the TV saying, you idiot, what are you doing that for? Just take a step back from your own life and think, well, am I about to do that? Sounds silly, I know, but it works. So yes, you have the right not to be attacked. The reality we live in doesn't support that, however, because the bad guy element don't agree with that. They don't respect your right as a human being. If they did, they wouldn't be committing the crime in the first place. Teaching people not to commit crime doesn't work. Otherwise, you wouldn't have people reoffending or back to prison for a second or third term. So if there are some credible martial arts clubs in your area, credible being the systems that work, so pretty much any of the grappling systems, judo, amateur wrestling, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, Japanese jiu-jitsu, sambo, catch wrestling, get involved. Boxing or Thai boxing, can't go wrong with them either. Get involved with them even if it's only twice a week. Keep a head on your shoulders, use some common sense. Don't engage in activities that you would not want your friends or family members engaging in. Yeah? Any comments, questions, queries or suggestions, pop them in a box below. Contact us anytime, day or night. I will always endeavour to get back to you as soon as possibly can. Till next time, train hard, train smart, stay safe.